All right, now to US politics being played out in the courts of all places. Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 counts of falsifying business records. And the polls show the case is not damaging his presidential aspirations. In fact, it's rather helping him to potentially win the Republican nomination. I'm delighted to bring in former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer. Sean, does Donald Trump have a criminal case to answer here or not?
The statute of limitations for a misdemeanor crime, which is bookkeeping, which is what this is 2 years. In the case that the district attorney is making, which is that it's a felony, that's 5 years. So the events that he's talking about occurred in 2016. So if it's a felony, it's 5 years from 2016. That puts the statute of limitations at 2021. So at the best case scenario, that these charges expired 2 years ago.
To a lot of observers outside the American system, it looks like Donald Trump is being pursued here. I mean, why aren't the prosecutors going after Joe and Hunter Biden and their criminal acts? There's overwhelming criminal evidence of those acts. Is the justice system being politicised?
Look, when you look at all of Donald Trump's detractors, from Mitt Romney to Bill Barr, and realize that all of these people who have criticized Donald Trump say that the political and judicial system here has been weaponized against Donald Trump. When you're talking about charges and incidents that occurred in 2016, 7 years ago, and you're using those against him now, you have to question whether or not the system is being weaponized. You're talking about a federal prosecutor that passed on these same incidents. The Federal Election Commission passed on these charges. The previous Democratic district attorney in New York passed on these charges. And to your point, you look at what's going on in Hunter Biden, where you have an active issue with this laptop. You have receipts that show nefarious business dealings with the Chinese, a Chinese business that is connected to the Chinese government, and yet no action is being taken. There's no question that this is and to use his words, a political witch hunt.
District Attorney Alvin Bragg came after Trump during the 2021 Democratic primary campaign, and he bragged then he will sue the Trump administration more than 100 times. So we know he's run on a political platform of getting Trump. Doesn't this suggest the US has got a problem with prosecutors like Bragg, who are actually elected politically or with political motivations, and then pursue those over legitimate legal means?
Well, look, I think Alvin Bragg took over $1 million from George Soros to get elected, and there's a reason for it. The upside, again, is that the process is so blatantly political that both Democrats and Republicans have called this process out. As you mentioned, Bragg over 100 times called out the fact during his campaign for district attorney in New York that he was proud to have gone after Trump. 52% of the crimes that have been committed as felonies in New York, he has downgraded. Violent crimes in New York City, he has downgraded to misdemeanors. And yet he is pursuing a misdemeanor bookkeeping case from 2016, 7 years ago, that was a misdemeanor case. There is no question that this is clearly a political witch hunt by Bragg. And the beautiful part about it is that it's so blatant that everything from the liberal Washington Post and the New York Times to Trump's most ardent political opponents have been able to call it out. And that's, I think, again, the beauty of this is that it's one thing when it's a sleight of hand, but in this case, it's so blatant that even Trump's most ardent opponents have recognized what's going on here. And I think because of that, Trump's legal team will be able to make several motions right off the bat. And I think this thing won't see the light of day.